Hello everyone, welcome to this video. Today I'll be reviewing an interesting game that I watched on Fox Go server a few months ago between Shin Jinseo and Deng Yifei. But before I get into it, I'd like to quickly mention the 2020 Midwest Open. It's going to be a 2-day event, and it's going to be big. They're going to have state championships. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be doing some game reviews, some live game reviews. So yeah, you should definitely check out the website. It's www.goohio.org if you're interested. Check out the websites, find information. Yeah. So with that being said, let's get into the game. So in this game, Shin is playing white and Deng is playing black. So the interesting situation that happened in this game was a move that I've literally have never considered or seen before, and I watched this game live as well, and it was mind-blowing. So let's get into it. White plays an approach in the upper right to kind of make the double approach by black. Not as good for black. It's still locally favorable for black, but because white gets a move elsewhere, it's considered even. See, white's able to invade the 3/3 now, and then black gets a double approach. White attaches here, black attaches, and then white cuts. So this is the point of the move at 017, is that when black connects, white's able to play here, and this move is a ladder breaker. If white did not make this exchange, black would be able to run this stone out, and if white's not able to capture these stones, you can see white's very weak. But because white has the ladder breaker, white is good. So white or black needs to connect. And usually at this point, white just takes like this. And the reason why is if white goes elsewhere, any move along the ladder line will be a ladder breaker, such as this move, which means white needs to take, and then black would be able to get a very big advantage on the upper right side of the board. But even with that, black can also just Atari and then extend. And you can see white has some thickness, but black scoops out a lot of points in the corner. So usually you just answer. In the game, Shin plays a tenuki, which is pretty interesting. My guess is he didn't want this sort of thing to happen, where black invades the 3/3. But yeah, it's pretty interesting, because guess what black does? Black immediately Ataris and then extends. So I definitely like black at this stage, especially after getting the Atari and extend. That being said, though, these are black's only points in the bottom left, whereas white's kind of you'll see after white attaches and they play a very normal joseki, white's actually has lots of prospect for points on the top. So maybe it's not so bad for white, especially because white got 2 moves elsewhere. Maybe it's not so bad for white. So black wants to build the right side now. If you make this push locally, because you're pushing from behind and it gives white territory, it's not so great. But black makes this exchange because black is looking to build the right side. Now, you can see with this S6 stone, it's not so easy to build the right side, quote unquote, normally. So you need to know this move. Is this Hane? When white blocks, then you can jump across. And the point of this jump across is if white cuts and then you cut, you can see locally, because these 3 white stones have 2 liberties, white needs to play locally. You can see white can't extend because black can capture. So white either needs to Atari, which will then let black surround the right side like this, or this one, which is very similar. This is all joseki, so that's why I'm going through it semi-quickly. You can see black's able to build the right side. So that's the point of this push first here, and then the hane, and then jump across. Now, because white knows black wants to build the right side, white chooses a variation where white just cuts directly here. And the point of this move is black connects and then white extends. You might think it's very similar to the past variations, but black's all connected. Now that's true. And the other variations are cutting points. But in this case, this stone at S6 has way more aji to help with an invasion or reduction later on black's right side. So if black plays elsewhere now, whatever, white's actually able to come in pretty easily because white has this S6 stone. So white it's because this move isn't sente, but it can be played by black. It's definitely a smaller corner, but white's looking to kind of force black to play on the right side, which black does. Black plays right there. White then jumps, and this is a very I think black's move is very honte. Black's next move, black plays this one space jump extension. So black is saying, okay, the right side is mine. I have the lower left. And your only way to win white is if you can make enough points on the top. But black thinks white cannot make enough points on the top. So no matter where white plays, black's going to invade the top. Now what a lot of players do, amateurs I should say, a lot of amateurs do, is they start to freak out if their opponent starts to look like they're getting a lot of points, as opposed to just making points themselves. So like black might think to like immediately come in somewhere, whatever. But by doing this, it'll just let white then take away your points on the right side. And in this case, black's not alive in the upper side. Black's on the upper right, black's not alive on the upper side, nor is black alive on the right side, technically. So, always, getting more points than your opponent is how you win the game. So you don't need to just always take away your opponent's points. As long as you have more, you're going to win. So it doesn't matter how many points your opponent gets. As long as you have more, you're going to win still. So, always, before you invade, make sure you're getting points too. I guess is what I'm trying to say. Just don't throw stones in into your opponent's area without making points secure yourself. So this move's a very good move. Very good move. Like I would even think to be like, oh, I gotta do stuff like this, but the right side, like if I come in now, one, it's gonna be harder, but let's just say I do anyways, because I'm a crazy player. White's still gonna be able to come in. So just take your points, very honte. Let white build, but because it's a lot easier to live than it is to kill, this is good for black. So black definitely has a territorial lead. Black there's probably 20 points in this corner, and probably 20 points on this side, so 40 points. White maybe has 10 points up here, maybe a little less than that, and like 5 points here, and Komi. So white definitely is behind on points. So, but it's white's move, so white counter or makes a double Shamari in the corner, and then black comes in. But because you can see black's solid here, or black's solid in the lower left, this invasion black is doing is all black needs to worry about. So that's very important. Don't leave around weak groups when you're planning on invading. White extends, and because I was watching this game live, I remember the sequence that I was thinking was going to happen is white would play this move, and then if black. So this is what I was reading, and they play something very similar, but just same thing I was just saying over here is that white's getting points before attacking, because again, this sort of way, sure you might be attacking, but this turn is really big because it affects the Aji in the corner, and it has a huge follow-up. So this move is again very honte. It's the proper move. You can see white plays something very similar, plays a knight's move, and then black jumps. Now, white plays here, which I guessed this move, so I'll pat myself on the shoulder for that one. But after this move, I did not guess white's next move. White peeps here. So the question is, what is white trying to do here? Now that'll be more obvious in a few moves, but just know before these moves, black has potential to make a lot of points potentially, but right now black is surrounding fourth line territory. So what white's trying to do is kind of force black down and saying, okay, I'm okay if you get fourth line territory, but as long as that's all you get. I don't want you growing into the center. Because all these moves, white's going to try to attack here, the upper black stones. But of course black tries to, doesn't want to stay flat, so black tries to come up. But again, white's treating the stones lightly and hanes. Cut and then extend. And you can see that this move here, this white move at P13 is helping a lot here. Because if black just extends, white's able to push down and then come into black's area like this. And this would be very painful for black. So that's why in the game, black just connects. And again, white leaves this for now and then comes here. Now, black attaches. So the question is, how do you attack? What is the proper way to attack? So a lot of weaker players think you attack to kill, but that's not necessarily true. You just want to attack for profit. So the question is, how can white gain profit here? So white has these stones here on the right side, but they have a lot of holes in them and they're very weak. So white really doesn't want to try to make this area into points because it's going to be very difficult. So if white does something simple like this, and then just connects, I don't know, and then black just comes down, it's not very clear how to make points here. It's very hard, at least. Yeah. Because of this cut here and black's super strong, it's just very difficult to make points. So what white's thinking is, okay, so I don't want to make points here, but before these exchanges, black would be able to run to these black stones pretty easily if I drove black towards the right side. But because I have these stones here, you can see, again, it's not perfect, but these stones could potentially give black some problems if he tries to connect the upper stones and the right side stones, just because there's white stones there. So this is the point where my mind gets utterly explodes, because, you know, this shape comes up a lot and it's a textbook move actually, and there's been books written on it and everything like that. And so there's three things you think about. It's, okay, hane, this is one thing, just extending is another way, and then wedging is another way. But you can see if you wedge, black just kind of connects up and it's not that interesting. If you extend, black just does something, and again, you're making points here. And same thing with the hane and connect. You know, black just kind of easily keeps light, and again, you're making points here. So the question is, what does white do? And I don't know if white had this move scouted before all these moves. I'm guessing so. I'm guessing right when he went here, he had this move scouted. But the move, and this is the focal point of this video, this is why I'm making this video, is white clamps, which is it's an insanely creative move. Like, this is mind-blowing, because it's, again, out of the three moves that I looked at, it would not be on my radar. Yeah, so if black just connects, you can see white has now surrounded black, and if black cuts and does something like this, again, white's just trying to attack black and force black towards this area here. And you can see white's now going to start to make points on the left side potentially. So that's what white's plan is. So black doesn't want to do that. Black doesn't want to again do something like this. It's just bad shape. Can't Hane because this Atari is just cuts through. So black comes down strong, and then white wedges. Black would like to go this way, but black's not able to capture white in a ladder, so it wouldn't be so good. And even if he could, white would be able to cut on this side actually and take the top, potentially. So black needs to cut on this side, but again, black cannot capture here because white can cut. So black needs to connect, white descends, black pushes out, and then white just simply ladders. But you can see how it might look like white is getting potential territory on this center area here, but white is actually attacking to make points on this side. And this is being flexible and proper attacking. You see, it's not super clear. Later, black's still not connected, so later black might need to add more stones. So yeah, this move, this clamp here, is when I saw it, like, it's just amazing move. I guess that's why Shin is #1 in the world, right? But yeah, super insane move. And I guess the main takeaway is, one, now whenever this shape comes up in my games, I'm going to look at the clamp and see, can I clamp? But in an overarching takeaway is there's always much more to go than what we think there is. Even in your own games, if you're looking at something and you're considering 1, 2, even 3 moves, just consider an extra move, an extra 2 moves. You're going to see that if you just consider more moves, sure, a lot of them might end up being, bad or, not good at all, but you might, just by thinking in that way, you're going to get stronger because you're going to be widening your thinking. You're going to be thinking about more things. And I think that's very important to getting better in Go. So always consider more than the obvious choices, because there's so much creativity in Go, and yeah, so crazy move. Not that this is like game ending, right? It's just a really insane move that I've never seen before. So that's the highlight of the video. I'll keep going. Very briefly, white takes a corner, black wants to build the right side, pushes white down, then black extends. So again, because of all these moves white has played, black needs to add its stones eventually, so that's what black does. And then white still starts to connect up the stones. Black plays here, which it's not directly a ladder breaker, but that means if white ignores any move up here, would be taking away points while being a ladder breaker. I'm not sure which one's the best, but it's just good for white to answer. And again, because this is the area white was planning on making points, it makes sense to answer. Black attaches, white covers, black hanes, white cuts, black ataris, takes, and then black covers. So this might look strange because it's like, oh, it just lets white cut. But black cannot simply go here because just does not quite work. Black doesn't have enough liberties to fight this, and if black keeps extending, again, black doesn't have enough liberties. So black needs to take away a liberty once. Now, if white goes elsewhere, when black connects, you can see it's now 3 liberties to 2 liberties, but by going here, now it's 2 liberties to more liberties. So black covers here. White plays a very good move, though, this move. So if black connects, white can push, and this actually comes up later in the game, actually, so I'll just save that for later. But this move's very important for connecting here because black would be able to push and cut after this move has been played. Yeah, so very important move. Black extends. Kind of forces white. It's a lot of players might just Atari, but the issue with just Atari is this move is in Sente, and if you ignore, white has a huge endgame follow-up like this. So by giving up a stone, which doesn't lose any points, you can see it'll seal white in completely, and white doesn't get any endgame. So black jumps, white extends, Atari, and then black comes down, kind of sacrificing the 4 stones. White now plays on the sector line. Black's getting all these points on the right side, so white just throws a stone in. Now black connects, and then you can see cut, Atari, Hane, but white can throw in once, and then Atari here. Black needs to take, and then white can Hane. So you can see that L17 is placed very nicely. Black Ataris and needs to live, so turns and then has 2 eyes. White's able to cut though. And then black plays here, again helping the center stones. White plays a Goblin's Nose, very nice Teisuji. Hane, double Hane. Cut, extend, needs to fix. Now white is cutting off black on the upper side, so black needs to connect, but then white can extend back. And black's not able to push through and cut because white going here is a ladder. You can see that it'll go to this stone here. Black connects, and then white Hanes, cuts. And this is interesting, just comes back here. Like, I would think this is a lot of points, but because that sequence I showed here is dependent on a ladder, that means black can play a move like this, kind of force white to capture, and then can come back and do something like this. So yeah, white wants to get there first. Black pincers, white comes down, black jumps. Again, there's a ladder situation here, so white can fix though. Black plays a nice move here to fix. Black does need to answer this move. Black goes elsewhere. White's able to just push through and cut. You can see cut black off. So black needs to answer. This move does protect and threaten to this cut here. But white can pull the stone out once. Black needs to Atari, and then white Hanes. Black connects. You might think to do this, but because it gives white a forcing move here, you can see it connects white's shape here. Whereas if you extend later, you might be able to cut here. So just reducing the amount of forcing moves you give your opponent. Attaches, double Hane. But black ignores and pulls these stones out. So now we have basically a fight in the center that's going to decide the game. Yeah, but white attaches and then cuts. Black needs to connect here. White can Atari though, and then come down. And at this point, black has things to worry about because there's an issue here with this cut, and it's a lot harder for black to get more liberties, whereas white's able to get more liberties more easily. Black attaches, plays here, Atari, cuts, white Ataris once, and then goes here. Now, white at this point, black actually loses on time, because while I was watching this game live, and when I saw that clamp earlier, I was like, oh, I'm still going to make a review on this game. And then so when it ended on time, I was like, oh, man, well, I think it's still good you can learn from the game, but black loses on time here, but really black can't win the semi anymore because there's a weakness here that black needs to try to fix, and this cut here that black wants to try to get. So like if black cuts here, white's able to cut here and capture these 3 stones, which would mean these black stones in the center are dead. If black tries to fix, white can Hane here. Black needs to go here. And then white can take and then connect. And again, white has too many liberties. White wins this semi-I, so it ends on time, but at this point right here, when black lost on time, white was already winning the semi-I. So yeah, crazy game with crazy moves. I learned a lot from this game, actually. Just to broaden what you're thinking about in your games. It's very important. I don't think I mentioned it earlier. The time settings were 1 minute main time, 3 15-second Byoyomi. So the fact that they can read all this stuff out in 15 seconds is incredible. But yeah, let's go back to the highlight of the video though. Yeah, this clamp is, again, I never would have considered this before this game, but now I'm going to be looking out for moves like this now. Yeah, this clamp's amazing. Amazing. But yeah, that's it for this interesting game. Hopefully you found it interesting as well. If you have any questions about the game or anything related to Go, please leave them in the comment section. And I will see you all in the next video. Thanks for watching.